But bins are available or more useful for things like tables, more useful for things where you just want to group things together. So let's create a new spreadsheet where we have, we're going to make this just a text spreadsheet, and we're going to have the customer name, and we're going to have the sales as a figure, and we're going to have this sales bin as a figure. So you can see, if I change the sum of sales to the count of sales, you can see that this particular customer has had 2 purchases at the $10 to $20 range, 1 purchase at the $40 to $50 range, and so on. So it has put these into bins, put these into categories. We're not talking about $9.99 for instance. You can see the actual sales. If I put that as a tooltip, you can see that this was a sale of $16, which is put into a $10 bin. Now you may notice the complete lack of totals, which for table we really do need totals. So let's go to the Analytics tab, and you can see some various things. For instance, an average with a 95% confidence rate. So that is 2 standard deviations away. It's a lot of statistical things. We have a trend line. You remember we were looking earlier at a graph with a trend line. So if you want a trend line or forecast line, this is where you are able to put these on. But because this is a table, the only thing that we're interested in is totals. So let's drag the totals, and you can see we've got column or row totals. So let's put column totals. So now we have a grand total account of 1,490 sales totaling $21,000, those sales all between $10 and $20. We can also put row grand totals on. So you can see in total this Trudy Glock made 10 purchases, a total of 2,075. So you can see that bins are probably more useful in tables, they're useful in graphs. For instance, we might want to have all of this graphed, and we'd be able to see for the 0 sales bin, so $0 to $9 that is, that Aaron Hawkins made this many, or we might want to have it as a stacked graph. So for instance, we have Aaron Bergman making a total of, is that 5 sales, 6 sales, of which one is $340, one is $240, one is $220. So it puts it in the right bin. I mean, ideally, you probably also want to add the bin to the color tab. So you can see the darker the color, in this case, the more the sale. So bins allow you to get a discrete range, so a continuous range, so going all the way from 0 to infinity, and allows you to make discrete bundles of them. So it might be that you could group together the number of people who have made 1 to 5 purchases, number of people who've made 6 to 10 purchases. Now this is a bit less useful for dates, because dates, of course, you can already go down to year, month, year, quarter, month, week, day as part of a hierarchy. Just one more thing to say about dates. If I go back to one of the earlier sheets that I did with these dates, so if I get rid of what I've got and put in the order date, you can see that the year starts in January. It might be that your year starts in a different date. For instance, in Britain, quite often companies start their tax year in April, the same as citizens. In America it starts in January, but not necessarily the same for your company. So what you can do is click on the field, but not the field over here. Click on the field over here in the original data. And if we go to default properties, as well as our sort and date format and other things, we have the fiscal year start. So we might want to start it in April. So now, if we take all of these off and put on order date again, you can see instead of 2011, we've now got fiscal year 2011. We now start off with fiscal year 2011 quarter 4, and if we expand that, we can see we've got January, February, March in fiscal year 2011, and we start a new year in April. And before I leave this graph, let's just go back to the analytics and have a look at some of the summarizations you can do. So you can have a constant line. So for instance, you might want a constant line that's showing 10,000. So we can see we are above our whatever this 10,000 is, and here we are below. We want to have an average line. So that is the average of all of the values. Or a median line. So where is the, if you put all of the values in alphabetical order or numerical order, what's the one in the middle? So we can have trend lines, linear, exponential, and other, exactly like we've got in Excel, median lines. You can really go silly with all of these, so don't have so many on. Trend lines, and forecast lines. So where is the data going afterwards? So lots of ones you can play with. As I said before, it's a lot easier if you have all of these grouped together. And you can just then play to your heart's content. And really, this is a lot about experimentation and a lot about seeing what other people have done and seeing whether it can work for you. So here we have a trend line, so we have upper trend and lower part of the trend.